Well, when I was in high school, I was a student here in Austin at Anderson High School. That time, Anderson High School was located on Pennsylvania Avenue. I've been associated, by the way, with all of the Anderson High Schools. I want to say that. But I had a teacher, government teacher, who was very perceptive, but very demanding, but yet very likable. And I appreciated the fact that he could hold our interest. I imagine now some students say sometimes the social studies are boring. And of course, no different from my day. Students during my era said the same thing. But he wasn't. He was, I call him a dynamic teacher. And I'd like to have been like Mr. C.P. Johnson. And I think I was inspired there. Also, while we were talking about inspiration, I was also encouraged and inspired by the high school principal there, Mr. W.B. Campbell. Mr. Campbell was handsome, had a heavy voice, and I was impressed when I found out he was a master's degree from the University of Michigan and had been an African-American captain in World War I.
Wow.
And so I was impressed by him. So he showed a degree of authority, a very strong disciplinarian, and I said then, I'd like to be a high school principal, never thinking that would happen.
Did you know what you were getting into once you got there?
I couldn't be like Mr. Campbell. I didn't have that personality, but I wanted to be a good principal.
Sure.
I wanted to make sure that our teachers were good teachers, strong teachers, very adept to helping young people. And I wanted the teachers to be disciplinarians, and I wanted teachers to have high expectations. And I wanted the students to learn. You know, we say put children first. I believe that's important. That was important when I was on campus as a teacher and then later as a principal, and it's important now. Well, going back, looking at it from sort of a historic point of view, during that era when I came through the late 40s, I graduated from high school in 1950, there were some professional positions that African Americans were occupying. For the most part, they were teachers. And so my mom and my dad had, they weren't high school graduates, and they really encouraged me. And at that time, the prevailing profession was to be a teacher. There were some young men who were going into the ministry, and there were some who were very bright in high school who went into dentistry and went off to become doctors. And then there were one or two that went off to become attorneys, lawyers. But I think education was what was interesting to me, and that kind of led me to teaching and then to administration.
Wonderful.
My first teaching job was in the Booker T. Washington High School in Marlin, Texas.
Oh, really?
This was during the days of segregation.
Oh, my.
I taught at Booker T. Washington High School.
Okay.
I taught all of social studies because it was a small school. And I enjoyed it. And I learned as the students learned because they helped me.
Right.
And then, of course, I taught the social studies at the Anderson High School. That one on Thompson, and then I taught at Johnston High School as an early, they call them crossover teachers, first steps that the Austin Independent School District took to bring about integration in the faculty. And I taught social studies at Johnston before I went into administration. I was apprehensive, and I guess I was nervous, a little afraid, but I had a good principal, Mr. Gordon Bailey, who supported me, and I met a good set of teachers. They were hospitable, and the students were too. I was surprised that the students They seemed to enjoy my classes. I didn't have any major discipline problems. I had some, of course. But then Mr. Bailey, my principal, asked if I would serve as the Dean of Boys. And I said, Dean of Boys? Well, Dean of Boys at that time was the first level of administration.
Wow.
You were the disciplinarian. Well, not many people saw me as the disciplinarian, but I became one. So I served at Johnston High School as a dean my last few years there, and then they transferred me back to Anderson High School again as an assistant principal.
Wow.
I think they had some different thoughts and different ideas. Some things they engaged in that were different for that generation, but looking at it, pretty much the same. In my Sunday school class, kids acted like kids acted in my classroom 30 years ago. Young people are fresh. They have a different perception of things. They have new ideas. They're enthusiastic. They're energetic. And you have to capture that and appreciate that. Somehow or another, they make you feel young. And so I think our young people are fine young people today as they were then. They need guidance. They need nurturing. They need support. They need discipline. They need, tough love, so to speak, if you want to use it that way. But they want attention, and they want to learn. And they are interested in having, I think, that teachers have high expectations of them, that teachers expect them to be disciplined and to help them with that discipline, and to guide them and direct them and to let them see what they can be. Because there's so much potential in all of our young people, and we need to capture it and we need to help it surface. First of all, should be prepared with that subject matter and to do the proper planning for that classroom activity. I would think that they would want to be encouraging to their youngsters. I would think that they would have patience with their youngsters. I would think that they would look in terms of understanding where the youngster has come from thus far. Understand a little bit about the background of their youngsters. Give them what they know they would need relative first to the subject matter. But then there are some social graces that sometimes you have to take time to impart. But when a youngster believes that you're interested in them as an individual and that you really care, you want them to learn and you expect a lot from them, and you want their respect because you need to give them your respect. When you put all this together, I think the youngster is ripe for learning, and I think that positive results will come as a result of that. I lament sometimes because I see published where we have low-performing schools. That is disappointing to me. I know that there are a lot of circumstances that cause that. I would like for all of our schools to be successful. I know that there takes a kind of nurturing and development and hard work on the part of the teaching staff, the principals, administrators, down to all staff persons who are teaching or who are educators on a campus. I think the students want to be good at what they do. I think they want to learn. Sometimes they're easily discouraged because they may fail one test or they may not do their assignments correctly. I think we need to come back and go over the situation with them again. Don't lessen expectation, but encourage those young people to realize their potential. So I would like to see all of our schools succeed, prepare our young people for learning. Living in this world of the necessity of a global economy, we have to fit and we have to understand and we have to learn. We have to understand technology. We have to know how to use the computers and the internet and all the other bits of technology that are available to us. We have to have a quest, I think, for learning. We have to have that desire that I'm going to be the best. Now, over time, we use that as a cliche, be the very best you can be. But I think it's a lot of truth in that. And I think that most of our youngsters want to be the very best they can be. We would want them to be comprehensive in their understanding of the world. We'd want them to be comprehensive in understanding that I have to learn the subject matter in order for me to be the kind of citizen I want to be. Because I want to be a good citizen in the world. No longer just a citizen in America. I want you to be a good citizen, but I want you to be a good citizen of the world. Because we're thinking in terms of not only the global economy, but we're thinking in terms of our living, being able to communicate, being able to be in attendance in another country in a matter of hours. That will only increase. So it is important that our schools rise to the pinnacle of a degree of excellence that will transform the world.